Hi, and welcome back to my channel. And hold up, babes. You look like a baddie who loves social justice, history, politics, and just interesting topics. Yeah? Just two smart and empathetic hotties staring at each other. So last night, I fell down a rabbit hole, as one does, and I'm bringing you with me. Have you ever heard of wife school? So, wife schools are these different courses that Christian women can take to become a better wife. Simple enough, right? Yeah, not exactly. What these courses end up teaching is how to perform as a wife under a patriarchal, hierarchical structure within your own home at your own expense, which is just ugh. So sit down, buckle up, because we are going to wife school. Just kidding, I'm not going to wear these. I just wanted to look smart for a second since we're going to school. So, my introduction to wife school was through Under the Desk News on TikTok. TikTok is literally where I learn about everything. But V briefly mentioned learning about it, and that led me to learn more about the wife school. So, we are going to go through the wife school's website to learn what this is all about. Okay. The wife school, an elite school for women pursuing biblical order. You are out of order. Wife school applications are open. I was really hoping so. I was really hoping that I could apply. So then it says you are out of order assessment. And we'll come back to that. But to apply to the wife school, you are out of order is the required first step. Little asterisk, wife school does not begin with teaching, it begins with exposure. Because order must come first. Before training, there is alignment. Before alignment, there is exposure. This is where that begins. What this is, you are out of order is the required first step of the wife school. It is a structured obedience assessment that places firm limits on your speech, reactions, timing, and impulse to explain or correct. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not like the words wife and obedience in the same sentence. We are not dogs. Okay, back to the website. For 30 consecutive days, you will operate under written constraints that do not ask how you feel, what you meant, or what you intended. There is no journaling, no processing, no venting, no self expression, only compliance. I don't know about you, but I'm getting cult vibes. Okay, we have a stock image of a couple here, and it seems like the husband is saying, listen to me. You're in danger, girl. Get out of there. What this is not the wife school. The wife school is a year long, holy shit, training under biblical order. This is the gate, still referring to the you are out of order assessment. Women who resist constraint here do not survive the wife school. Women who negotiate these terms disqualify themselves. Okay, we have another couple. They're looking a little bit happier than the last one. That's good. Some days will require silence. Some days will require restraint. Every day will require honesty. These materials are designed to remove emotional leadership, reactive speech, outcome management, and self justification. They are not transferable. They are not intuitive. They do not work without submission. That's another word that is a bugaboo for me. You cannot simulate this experience from the outside. Is this like the military? Jesus Christ. What you will receive a 30-day obedience assignment. There's that word again. Enforced through written materials that regulate how you speak, when you speak, what you withhold, how quickly you react. You will not be asked to interpret instructions. You will not be invited to customize them. You will not be encouraged to make them your own. You will be told what is permitted and what is not. I am scared. What happens during the 30 days? This is still about the you are out of order assessment, by the way. You may notice discomfort, silence, exposure, and the loss of familiar coping behaviors. This is not harm. This is revelation. This requirement removes emotional leadership and exposes where resistance still lives. Nothing is fixed here, nothing is explained here, only revealed. Read this carefully in bold letters. You will not receive coaching during these 30 days. You will not receive feedback. You will not be processed. If discomfort rises, you continue. If frustration rises, you continue. If silence feels unbearable, you continue. On day 21, you will be prompted to assess whether you should proceed further. On day 30, you may become eligible to apply to wife school. Completion does not guarantee acceptance. Do not buy this if, do not purchase this if you need to be heard in order to obey, believe your husband is the primary problem, require explanation before compliance, think submission is a personality trait, are seeking healing, validation, or reassurance. This is not emotional relief. This is order. This is for you if ... This is for you if ... You are tired of chaos. You want peace that does not depend on being understood. You are willing to obey God without managing outcomes. You are ready to find out whether you are actually submitted. You are not disqualified by past failure. You are disqualified by resistance. Next step. Completion of this requirement makes you eligible to apply to wife school. Not everyone who finishes applies. Not everyone who applies is accepted. That is intentional. By the way, just applying to take the You Are Out of Order assessment is $97. So just to make this clear, women would have to pay $100 just to take the You Are Out of Order assessment, where you have to be obedient and submissive and silent and reveal things and get really uncomfortable with no coaching, no feedback, no guidance. And then you may not even make it into the wife school. This is some predatory shit if I've ever seen it. So that's all the website is. There's no like about us, this is who runs the course, here's some reviews, anything like that. So I found the wife school's Instagram page where there are 4 posts, all from 2024, with 28 followers. So I'm really just hoping that absolutely nobody bought into this bullshit. But wait, we have more wife schools to dive into. How there's more than just one, I do not know. Why is this such a thing? Oh, because religion thrives on controlling women. Duh. So next, I found a Reddit post, and it says, I went to an all-girls wife prep school. Ask me anything. Exactly what the title says. I went to an all-girls school that prioritized teaching us to be good wives and obey our husbands. It's not the kind of thing that usually comes up in conversation, and I have so much lore to share, so ask me anything. And I'm just going to go through these questions in the order that I found them. So first question was, so did you land a husband? Oi. Did they specifically present opportunities for you to meet men there? At what point do you realize you were at a wife prep school? What kind of degree do you actually end up with there? Then the OP says, no, I don't have a husband. There was a creepy matchmaking lady that your parents could pay $10,000 to find you a man. I legitimately thought that said $1,000 originally, which is still astronomical, absolutely insane, but $10,000 for parents to find you a man. It's giving like human trafficking. I don't know. I don't like it. Okay, back to the same answer. I really realized that she was in this wife prep school when we had a sermon where the pastor told us we were nothing without a man and were therefore nothing at this moment. You didn't get a degree at all, just a bad education. Straight to jail. Everybody round up, every parent, every teacher, anyone involved with that school. Jail. So I am going to briefly mention pregnancy loss here. So if you would like to skip over that, you can stop listening at 9 minutes and 36 seconds and pick back up at 9 minutes and 50 seconds. Next question. What on earth was being taught in the procreation classes you mentioned in another answer? And how old were you when it was being taught? OP's answer is sex positions, how to please a man, women's biology, how a pregnancy works. Most of it was shaming women, though. You were told to never mention if you weren't satisfied and that if you miscarried, it was your fault or you weren't ready to be a mother. Oh my God. So there, she did not answer the question of how old she was, but I found out in a later question. Sit down. Please sit down for this. Take your guess. How old was this girl taking wife prep school where they teach you sex positions and how to please a man until you are nothing without a man? 14. She was 14 years old. Okay, we need more, much more than jail for the people involved in this. Ugh. So, next question. What state was this? How long ago were you there? Is it still open? And then OP's answer is I was there from sixth grade to junior year of high school. Oh my God, like your whole preteen and teenage experience being in that school. I cannot fucking imagine. What state do you think this school was in? Take your guesses. 3, 2, 1. Texas. Obviously, it was either Texas, Florida, anywhere in the South, honestly. She then says, to my knowledge, it was shut down very quietly. In one of her answers to another question, she explains that the school was completely word of mouth from pastors to parents. Like it was like underground almost. Ugh. She also talks about how there was, pray the gay away going on as well, of course. So the next question, how was your actual education? Can you get into college, or was the education so steeped in you becoming a housewife that it didn't prepare you for anything? Then the OP answers, my education there really wasn't that great. I've had to supplement it with courses from other schools. Many of the classes I took in school didn't convert to credits. I want to get a psychology degree, so I'll have to do a lot of extra work. I think it definitely set the kids up to have no choice but to be a housewife. In my opinion, this should be grounds for a child neglect charge. Like, you did not put your child through typical proper education so that they can have a normal life and thrive within life. Now they have to work harder to catch up. Ugh. Good for her, though. Good for her, though, for not just becoming a housewife and for actually going to school. Okay, now on to the main event. There is so much more. Okay, do you remember the Duggars? The family that was on 19 Kids and Counting, really strict conservative Christians, independent fundamental Baptists. One of the Duggar daughters, Jessa, she's now Jessa Seawald because she's gotten married, of course, and has like 6 kids. But she posted on Instagram about a wife school course that she's been taking.
In Christian marriages, a husband and wife can be deeply committed to each other and genuinely love one another, and yet still experience a good bit of tension in everyday life. I just finished listening to something that truly encouraged me and challenged me in my role as a wife, and I couldn't keep it to myself. It's Tilly Dillahay's Wife School, and it's incredibly practical for real marriages. We all desire peaceful and Christ-honoring marriages, but many of us have never realized how much the way we speak and respond influences the thermostat of our homes. Scripture tells us that the wise woman builds her house, and I'm beginning to see more and more how that work begins with the Lord shaping my own heart first. This course isn't about changing your husband or carrying responsibility that isn't your own. It's about personal growth, learning to steward your words and your tone and your communication within marriage. As Tilly herself points out, not every example will apply to every marriage, and circumstances do vary, but the heart of this course is firmly rooted in biblical truth, and I do believe it will help wives move away from striving and tension and towards clarity and peace, learning how to speak with more wisdom, encourage intentionally, and trust God to work. And it's just 6 weeks. Invite a sister or two, make it a girls' night, discuss the lesson, pray together, do the homework, and watch what God does in your life and your home.
So I asked myself after watching that video, probably the same thing that you're asking yourself. Who is Tilly Dillahay? She is a pastor's wife, and her husband has said he's been training her for 10 years. Blink twice if you need help, girl. She is a homeschool mother of 4 and an author, and not a licensed therapist. So this was the first video that I clicked on Tilly's Instagram profile.
Yeah. How are you going to persuade people that women are vulnerable to certain temptations?
First of all, I really despise that I recognize this man. This is Pastor Doug Wilson of Moscow, Idaho. He is a self-proclaimed paleo-Confederate, has said that slave owners were on firm scriptural ground. He has said that women are just people that people come out of. It takes no talent. It's just, it's what you do. It's what you're there for. He also believes that women should not have the right to vote. We should move to household voting, where the man votes for the entire household. And sure, there's a lot of wackos out there with a lot of crazy beliefs. Surely that'll never happen, right? Right? But back in August, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth retweeted the video of Doug Wilson saying he does not believe women should have the right to vote. We should move to this household voting structure. That was concerning enough. But just recently, Pete Hegseth invited Doug Wilson to lead the prayer service at the Pentagon. I need us all to understand and be fucking pissed that this type of rhetoric is in our government. It's not just some wacky dude who lives in Idaho with this, crazy belief. It is in our government. The people who decide on policies that then shape our realities believe in this. Women's rights are under attack. We have the SAVE Act that passed the House of Representatives. Now it's with the Senate, which would disproportionately affect married women being able to vote. The Heritage Foundation, which is the think tank that wrote Project 2025, which the Trump administration has been following, all the horrible shit that we've been experiencing in this country the past year came from Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation, put out a special report on how to save the family and how to save marriage. And in the special report, they blame the feminist liberation movement that started in the 60s, really continued through the 80s, and still continues today, of course, as one of the reasons for the decline in marriages in America. And they specifically point out birth control, which really was not available to women prior to the 60s. Even then, it was hard to get, but now, of course, we see that it's much more widely available. And no fault divorce. So no fault divorce laws allows people to divorce for no reason. You just don't want to be together. Okay, bye. Without no fault divorce laws, couples will have to prove that there's fault, right? Someone cheated, someone's being abused, whatever the case may be. So this would put women back into potentially very dangerous situations where they can't just leave their marriage because, whatever reason. Again, we should not have a reason to get divorced from somebody. So they want to put us back in a time, make America great again, right? This is what they mean. The golden age is when women had to get married in order to survive because we couldn't apply for a loan on our own or get a credit card or, whatever the case may be. We couldn't do these things on our own. So we had to get married and stay there, whether you were happy or not. So if we connect the dots on just all of this different rhetoric from the right and from this special report specifically, they want one man and one woman to get married. They do not believe LGBTQ plus people should be able to get married. We know this, but they talk about it specifically in this report. So one man, one woman. She doesn't necessarily have access to birth control if they had their way. So, of course, having a ton of kids. So in this traditional family structure, the woman stays home, the man goes to work. This is also potentially a dangerous power dynamic, right? Where he can control the finances. She has no say. She can't escape if she needs to because she doesn't have any of her own money. So there's my feminist rant of the day, and it's very much so connected to this whole wife school world. And you better vote blue like your life depends on it because it definitely does. Okay, let's go back to the video of Tilly DeLahaye and Doug Wilson.
The idea is think like a villain and talk in the voice of a villain. How would a wicked female demon talk?
She would talk like this.
You know how I mentioned that Tilly DeLahaye is an author? Well, she's under Doug Wilson's publishing arm. As I scrolled through Tilly's Instagram profile, I realized how dangerous this type of content is. Because at surface level, it seems innocent enough, right? For example, she posted a series called 10 Days of Marriage Hacks, where she recommended things like thank your husband for 3 different things today, initiate intimacy, learn your hormone cycles and make sure your husband knows as well. Be a smiler. Smile at your husband more. That one's sus. The misogyny's really showing through on that one. But the bulk of Tilly's content is about not criticizing your husband and instead putting the responsibility onto the wife to reshape how she's thinking about her husband or the things that he does that drives her crazy and changing it into something positive. It's really just encouraging women to excuse bad behavior and be okay with weaponized incompetence. So this post was my favorite example of that structure, I guess, where you're not criticizing your husband, just reframing it to be something positive. And she calls it check engine wife and fuel tank wife. So the check engine wife is the bad one. Fuel tank wife is what you should be. So the check engine wife thinks, he left his clothes next to the hamper again. I'm married to a child. And she says, wow, so close. Just can't seem to find the hamper, huh? That's valid. He thinks, yesterday it was something else. She will never be pleased with me or respect me no matter what I do. Well, pick up your fucking clothes, dude. Typical result, irritability and likely still clothes on the floor tomorrow and broken fellowship. Just pick up your fucking clothes, dude. Save your marriage. Fuel tank wife thinks, I want the floor clear, so I will clear these. I am married to a man. This means he thinks differently from me. It is also just possible he is overlooking some annoying things that I do. Says, thank you for going to work, loading the dishwasher, praying with the kids every night, taking me out, putting the chickens up, going out in the cold to start the car for me, going to the dump, killing the mouse, making it possible for me to stay home with the kids, calling the plumber, whacking the T-posts in, whatever. He thinks, all is right with the world and the angels are singing. My wife is so nice and I can just leave my clothes on the floor and she'll pick them up. Typical result, he still leaves stuff on the floor, so you're still fucking annoyed as the wife. When you are 50 years married and you stopped caring about the clothes 30 years ago. I've been around enough married old people to know that that wife will care even more about the clothes on the floor in 30 years because she's been dealing with it for 50. She is sick of your shit. Which, yes, the sentiment is there. Like at the end of the day, it's just clothes on the floor, right? There's much bigger things in life. But if you can't bring up to your partner, hey, this actually drives me really crazy. Do you mind picking up after yourself? That's not good. She's essentially saying that criticizing your husband, which really it's just open communication. It's just you saying, hey, this thing drives me crazy. Please, can you work on it? That's all that is. It's not criticizing. But she acts as if that and the positive affirmations can't exist together, right? You could say, pick up your clothes before I fucking kill you. And hey, thanks for making me breakfast. Thanks for taking care of the chickens, whatever. Like you could do both. I mean, live your life however you want at the end of the day. But the issue that I have here is that she is not like a licensed marriage therapist or anything. She really has no credentials to be talking about this. And imagine a vulnerable woman finding this type of content, which I think, unfortunately, is the type of woman that this content attracts. Like they're looking to better their marriage because something is wrong, something is going on. But imagine like a really vulnerable woman, like she's in an abusive situation or something. And this is the advice that she comes across. And this is like what she holds on to because it's Christian, because it's rooted in God, whatever. This is just, breeding. Let's just excuse the abuse away, really. Now, I have been happily married to my husband for 12 years this year, and we've been together for 16 years in just a couple of months. So I'm going to start my own wife school. And here is the curriculum. You critique your man if they need it. You tell them what's up. Do not smile at him unless he's completed the daily task of feeding you grapes by hand. Find 3 things that your husband could do today to make you feel more like the queen that you are. I don't know. Sounds good to me. Would you buy it? Okay, let's move on to Tilly's wife school, which is subtitled Becoming the Kind of Woman That Inspires a Godly Leader. So Tilly's wife school course costs $17. Did I pay for it? No, because I was recently laid off from my job. So please subscribe to my channel to help me chase my dreams. Thankfully, I found a creator on TikTok named Elena Truba who did take this course for science. Elena also wrote all about Tilly's wife school and the curriculum within the wife school on Substack, which is where I got the following information from. So shout out to Elena. Let's learn what it takes to be a good wife. Step 1. A good wife is responsible for her husband.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Tilly says that entering marriage is like voluntarily getting on the back of a tandem bike. You're helping your husband drive, but you ultimately don't have control. You, as a wife, can make it impossible for your husband to move forward, and his ability to lead relies on you. She also says that a good wife encourages her husband as a leader, and sometimes his priorities may be different than yours, but you just need to get over it. Solid advice for what is supposed to be an equal partnership. Super solid, Tilly. Step 2. A good wife knows how to suffer in silence.
Hell no. Come on, wait till the no, no, no. Come on, come on.
Tilly states that it is a God-honoring, God-glorifying thing to love your spouse, and then she teaches that women shouldn't expect too much in return for their love. She then poses the questions. Does this mean you'll just be in an unhappy marriage and suffer? Possibly, but if you're going to suffer, suffer as a righteous woman. She also says that some of the suffering that women experience is unnecessary and that it's basically a skill issue. She also goes on to say that happy second marriages are rare and basically that no man will want you in your 30s and 40s because you're old and disgusting. She didn't say those words exactly, but that's what she meant. Like, once you're in your 30s and 40s, you're not useful any longer. I don't know. Ladies, smile at your husband and thank him for 3 things that he's done today, and the suffering won't matter. This is gross. I do not like it. No one should suffer within their marriage. Like, sure, you go through tough times, but that's different from suffering, I would say. And to completely downplay and ignore your own suffering is crazy. Like, if you and your partner have any problems, right? Maybe there's some quote unquote suffering going on within the marriage. It should be you and your partner against the problem, like us against the world. That's how that should go. Step 3. A good wife doesn't criticize her husband. Tilly says that you cannot motivate your husband with criticism. If you do criticize him, you're not trusting God with your husband and the work he's doing. She gives the examples of asking your husband to not say certain things around your friends or worrying about his caretaking skills of your newborn. I am picturing this absolute diabolical man who's like a total dick to your friends, and then he leaves the baby alone in the bathtub, and the wife is supposed to just be like, "It's okay. God's got this." And then gives her husband positive affirmations for things that are completely irrelevant to both frightening situations. Like, she then goes on to teach that what your husband does want is positive affirmations. So what she's saying is husbands are dogs. My husband's got that dog in him. So don't criticize your husband for bad behavior, but do give them a treat when they put their clothes in the hamper. She then assigns her students homework to help them turn the negatives into thank yous. This is like Mad Libs for trad wives. Okay, let's see what this homework is about. The fact that my husband doesn't do blank means he has time/space to blank. He doesn't prioritize blank, but that means he can prioritize blank. He is not interested in blank, but he is very interested in blank. I don't like the fact that he blank, but it used to be attractive to me. Maybe someday I'll like it again. Okay, I want to do one. He is not interested in picking his clothes up off of the floor that are right next to the hamper. But he is very interested in being a dick to my friends and leaving the baby unattended in the bathtub. It's totally fine. The opportunities are endless here, so I want to hear your trad wife Mad Libs in the comments. Dude, it gets fucking worse. Listen to this. Tilly provides a real life example of a friend complaining to her that her husband doesn't wash his hands. Therefore, the children do not wash their hands. Tilly tells her friend that it would be better for her friend's family to die of the Black Plague rather than remind her husband, like a toddler, to wash his fucking hands. Natural born leaders, am I right? So Tilly told her friend, you and your children should die before you dare criticize your husband. I hope that friend never talked to Tilly again. Okay, so now this husband is a dick to your friends. He leaves the baby unattended in the bathtub, and now he doesn't wash his hands. Cool. Yeah. Totally fine. Oh man. All right. Step 4. A good wife submits to her husband. There's that fucking word again. Ladies, submit to the man who does not wash his hands. So in this part, Tilly cites certain Bible verses to remind the women taking this course that if they've entered into marriage, that they've agreed to be under the authority of their husbands. Tilly then teaches proactive submission and gives the students homework to help them practice submission to their husbands. I low-key have always wondered what this submission looks like, so I'm kind of glad that there's examples. So, number 1, ask for his advice. Example, I found this curriculum today. Would you look over it and tell me your thoughts? So, where I'm assuming if he does not like said curriculum, she does not get to partake in whatever that is. Number 2, ask for his expertise. In the example, what do you think about tariffs? I'm screaming, not the tariffs. Unless this dude who doesn't wash his hands, leaves the baby unattended in the bathtub, and is a dick to your friends, is an economist or something, I would not call this expertise. He'll probably disagree with whatever Daddy Trump is doing. All right, number 3, ask for his help. Example, can you lift this for me? All right, pretty tame in the grand scheme of things. She gave us an easy one before the grand finale. Number 4, ask for his permission. Here we go. Can I have your blessing to sign up for Women's Retreat Committee? Is it all right if I go out with the ladies on Saturday? You see, in my wife's school, I would be teaching each partner should have consideration for the other. So if there's some sort of plans or something you want to do, whatever, you just tell the other one, hey, I'm going to be doing this thing. Cool? Like, we have no other plans. Like, that's not going to affect you in any way, right? No? Okay. See you later. But asking for the man's blessing and permission. So if he says no, then she doesn't do it. Hell no. All right, last one. Step 5. Ask for his decision. Let me know what you want to do, and I'll implement it. From my understanding, this is how the man is the leader of the household. He ultimately makes all the decisions. Even if he consulted with his wife, he still may make a different decision than what they talked about. But then she has to do all the work to implement said decision. Does not seem fair. Tilly also teaches nonverbal ways to honor your husband, like not letting the kids interrupt your husband and making sure he's greeted with a hug and kiss, and even more PDA if you're comfy, when he comes home from work. And I hope he's doing the same for you, girl. This is just like teaching your kids basic manners and just being nice to your partner, but they have to make it weird and call it honoring your husband. All right, we have made it to our final lesson of wife school. Drum roll, please. A good wife gives her husband sex. Tilly teaches that sex is the only hobby you've been commanded not to neglect by God. Freaky. All right. Let me try and get through this part. She also says that women should take their pleasure seriously, but only because it will ultimately please their husbands. Oh my God. She also said that it is a blessing to your husband for you to enjoy sex. Girl, it's a blessing for you. It's about you too. Our husbands expect a yes from us. Offer yourself to a husband with a good will and you'll never regret it. And then she gives the pizza analogy, bad pizza is still good. Bad sex is still good. Okay, so this is giving rape culture. You can never say no to your husband. Absolutely not. Lordy, we survived, I think, wife school, but hold on, there's more. Tilly states for liability purposes, I'm sure, that her course is not for complex issues like abuse. She then points her students, maybe who are experiencing those more complex issues, to a resource called Assessing a Relationship for Abuse by Jim Neihizer? One of those two. This dude is a biblical counselor, and since publishing these articles, which I'm about to get into, he's gone back to the women that he was supposed to help, seek safety, and ask for their forgiveness because he did the complete opposite. So this is what his teaching said without explicitly saying it. We must not always believe the victim. Feeling abused doesn't mean you're abused. Sometimes the abuse is your fault. Just because you're being mistreated or abused doesn't mean you can leave your marriage, and you can change your abuser. Tia Levings is another writer and creator who wrote about the wife school, and she said it perfectly. The women who find these courses are sheltering abuse in their home. They're lonely, tired, disillusioned, and desperate for relief. They can't afford to rock the boat, push back, or make changes, because doing so will bring down their whole household. They need help, they're about to crack, and this is where they turn to for advice. Just absolutely disgusting. Again, live your life however you want, but I think teaching this type of dynamic or structure within a marriage, especially to women who are already probably vulnerable in some way, right? They're sick and tired, they don't know what to do, so they're seeking out something that will make them a good wife, is irresponsible. And you're telling them to stay in and go deeper into a potentially dangerous power dynamic, right? Where the man has all the say, the man has all the money. You just submit, you just do what he says, you ask for his permission, all at the expense of yourself. Like you quiet your thoughts, your opinion doesn't matter, sex doesn't matter for you, it matters for him only. No, I promise you that there are so many beautiful marriages and relationships, mine included, not to be biased or anything, but where it's an equal partnership. Each partner has equal say, equal voice. Sex matters for the both of them equally. They have equal control and say over money and big decisions in life. That is what marriage is about. Anyway, so as I fell down the wife school rabbit hole, I asked myself, is there a husband school? Because I know that 99% of the men out there need it. Obviously, since there are husbands out there who are rude to your friends, they don't know how to take care of the newborn, they're leaving it alone in the bathtub, and they're not washing their hands. And TLDR, no, there really aren't any husband schools. I found a couple of light-hearted books. So there's a website, and it's husbandschool.co, and it's for a book, and it says, Get Better at Life. The Husband School is a place for men who want to get better at life, at home, at work, and everywhere in between. We began by helping husbands and husbands-to-be navigate the ups and downs of marriage through the new Husband Survival Guide. The same honest, good-natured spirit now continues in the Moderately Motivated Man series, a collection of practical, relatable guides for men who want to improve how they manage time, habits, health, and more. Together, these projects form the foundation of The Husband School, a growing platform that blends humor, self-awareness, and real-world insight to help men make meaningful progress without the pressure, guilt, or gimmicks. Then there's a little section about the new Husband Survival Guide. It says it's dedicated to educating and entertaining the country's most vulnerable population, soon to be married and recently married men.
What the hell?
Editorial highlights include rookie mistakes, the cycle of wife, winning bedroom battles, wife translator, losing arguments gracefully, and wife hacks. For less than one cost of a Big Mac, large fries, 2 Red Bulls, and a pack of Twinkies, aka lunch, all of this vital knowledge can be yours, and you can't put a price on happiness, right? I resent things like this that makes it seem like women are so hard to understand, like wife translator. It's not that hard, bro. It's not that hard. Like, just be nice and empathetic and compassionate and considerate and think of your woman. Like, don't get married if you're not going to do those things. So, on my hunt for a husband school, I found this guy.
So I'd committed adultery.
Okay, so the men have no sound advice out there. They're all like incels and like looks maxers, a couple of silly, goofy books, and a guy who once cheated on his wife. Maybe this is why they are the way that they are. And when I say I hate men, I do not mean my man. I'm actually going to make him create a husband school. He would be really good at that, actually. And I will forever believe that life and marriage is supposed to be fun for the girls. It's supposed to be fun. Suffer in silence? No. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I would love you forever and ever and ever and ever if you were to press all the buttons like, subscribe, share, comment, please help me, I'm poor. Okay, I'll be back soon with more history, politics, social justice, and just interesting topics. Bye.